What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today it's a beautiful day. It is absolutely stunning. All the windows are open in my house. It is ever so slightly on the chilly side right now, but I know the afternoon's gonna get super, super warm. The afternoon sun bakes my house. So in the morning, I like to get it really cold so that the sun can warm it up. Yesterday, in the afternoon, it got to 77 degrees, or for fellow Canadians, people in England and whatnot, got to 25 degrees, and stayed that way until like basically midnight. So if you hear any noises from the outside, like birds, or all of my neighbors deciding to do outdoor chores and building stuff, you know, since about 8 o'clock in the morning, sorry, not sorry, I'm not closing the windows. Today, I thought I would answer a question in a little bit longer format. I was looking through my YouTube comments and things of such to get questions for a Q&A that I'm going to film. And I came across this one and I started to think about it, and I knew I wouldn't be able to answer it in like a minute or two, which when you do a Q&A, you basically want the answers to be about a minute or two each, because otherwise it's 100,000 years long. And this one, I know I'm not gonna be able to answer in just like, you know, a minute or two. So I'm taking a page out of Brian Goulet's book and I'm gonna extract that question and put it out as a separate video. And that is, what are some fountain pen inks that I do not like? So there are a few specifically that I do not like, but in general, I like pretty much any ink. And I dislike more categories of inks than I do specific ones. So for example, I don't like black inks, basically at all. And the reason why I don't, is just because they're boring. They don't excite me. They're black. They're like, whatever. When, you know, you write with them on paper, there's nothing of interest for me to look at. And I know that for some people, it's really important to have black ink for work. You know, some people like to draw with fountain pens, and black, of course, is, you know, very necessary. But for me, there's just no fun there. And if I want to write with the black ink, I want it to be like super black, like outer space void black. And there isn't an ink that I have found that does that. At least not for fountain pens. So for example, if you've ever used a Rotary isograph or a rapidograph or anything like that, the Rotary Black Ink is perfect. That's what I would want in a fountain pen ink. It is insanely black, almost has like a glossy sheen to it. It is so black. But it's just not really feasible with a fountain pen, because in order to get that kind of pigment, that kind of depth, that kind of darkness, the ink has to be really thick. And even like all of the different noodlers options, which I've tried all like 100 million bajillion of those black options, it always does not have the saturation that I want. And I typically write with fine or medium nibs. So if I was writing with like a triple oblique broad or something, then yes, it could probably get dark. But for everyday writing, not so much. So I just don't like black ink. You know, in my ink, I want to have something to look at. I like shading, sheening, but if I use a black, I want it to be like black. And then I'm sure if I did find a fountain pen ink that was like super duper saturated, then I still probably wouldn't want to use it, because cleaning it out of my pen would be a nightmare. So I don't like black ink. Baseline. Another general category is shimmering ink. I do use it from time to time, but as a general rule, I don't really like shimmering ink. I will never buy a bottle of shimmering ink. I thought I was going to be like a collector of like the J.Herbin, like 1760s or whatever those were, with like the sheening, like Stormy Gray and Emerald of Chicken, all those kind of things. And I did have a few of those bottles. I've since given them all away except for Stormy Gray, because every once in a while I do like to use that with a dip pen. ironic that it's black, I know, but it was the first one, and I was, you know, it holds a sentimental value. First one that I purchased, it wasn't the first one that came out. But I just don't really like them. I buy samples from time to time, again, to use with dip pens, just to mess around with. Like, I really do like Robert Oster's Rose Gold Antiqua, or whatever it's called. It destroyed a TWSBI that I put it in, but on a dip pen, it looks beautiful. So in general, I don't really like them. They tend to cause more problems than they need to be, and I don't like the fact that, you know, I feel like I have to move the pen every 10 seconds, and it's not worth it to me. I don't get enough gratification out of it to use it, and it does become a pain in the tuchus to get all of the shimmer out of feeds. So in general, I stay away from shimmering inks. So those are the two main categories. Specific colors that I don't like, or that I kind of hated, was one from Noodler's, their fruit cactus eel, or Cactus Fruit Eel, I think it's what it's called. It's such a vibrant pink, and it is in their eel series, meaning it's lubricated. It just feathered like crazy. I'm sure if I used it on Tomoe River paper, it'd be fine now. But back when I was using it, I didn't have any Tomoe River, and even on Rhodia and Clairefontaine, it would still spread. Not necessarily like total feather, but there was a lot more spreading, so you lost the crispness of a line that I really like to have. Especially if I am using like an extra fine or a fine, I want that crisp line. And I just could never get it with that ink. And I really just didn't have a good time with it. I'm not a fan of the color in general. I've used some other eel inks and they were okay. But I don't like that ink. I did use the non-eel version, still didn't love it. It didn't spread as much as the eel version because it's not lubricated, but I'm not a fan of the color. Another ink that I don't like is Noodler's Bay State Blue. I understand the appeal to some people, but it's sort of one of those things like with the shimmering inks, right? Like it's just not worth it. Like, yes, the color is super, super vibrant and like packs a punch, but in general, I'm not really a blue ink fan either. I have to be in the mood for it. And the fact that you have to clean this one up with a, diluted bleach solution, it's not for me. It's not worth the hassle. And I don't want it to stain anything. Not necessarily my pen. I mean, I'd only use it in like a platinum preppy, but spills happen. And if it got on like clothing or carpet or whatever, like it would just be a nightmare. So I don't really like that one. Other ones specifically that I don't really like is one of the new Lamy crystal inks. For the majority of them, I actually like quite a bit of them, but I don't like the azurite. I really don't. And I can't place my finger on why I don't like it. It just, I don't know, it just doesn't do anything for me. It's a pain in the butt to clean out. It took me flipping forever. And I think that's also why I don't like, what is it? Organic Studio, it's their Waldo one, or Emerson Waldo, or Waldo Emerson. I don't know. I'll put them on the screen somewhere, but Ralph L. Emerson Waldo, I think it's called. I love sheening inks. If you watch my channel, you know that I love shade. I love sheen, but there's a limit, and this has passed it. While I love the way that it looks on paper, it does tend to be a little cloggy in my pens. It takes 100,000 years to get the sheen out of fountain pen when you clean it. And while it's okay on some papers, sometimes the dry time takes like 800 years, and the sheen never quite seems to dry permanently on some paper, where even if you left it for days and days and days, you can come back and you can still smear some of the sheen off. So I really hate that. Another ink that I dislike is Roran Klingner's Altcoin green, or however you pronounce that. To me, it just looks like a booger barfy green. It's just, I really just don't like the color of that at all. I don't really like any of those type colors, like the safari greens. I'm very exceptionally picky with like olive greens, because again, if it leans too yellow, then it just becomes like booger in writing form, and it's just no thank you. So yeah, I just don't really care for them. There's a lot of inks like that, I mean, obviously like just color in general. I don't like yellows because they're like highlighter, you can't read them. I don't typically like neon bright colors. I mean, again, if you watch my channel, you'll know that I have a preference of like warm tones. So like reddish browns, things like that. I don't like just straight red inks, but you know, like Diamine, Ancient Copper, things like that. You know, SBRE Brown's ink. Of course, my all-time favorite, Mont Blanc, James Purdy & Sons Single Malt. Why my favorite has to be the most expensive ink ever is beyond me, but I love it. So anything that strays too far out of that, I don't typically like. Again, I don't typically enjoy purples either because they're a pain in the butt to clean. But every once in a while, I still, you know, enjoy them. And that's why I buy samples a lot of the time, especially for those one-offs. So, you know, a couple vials of shimmer ink will last me like years, like purples and reds and stuff like that. Usually I'll just get some samples of, and I'll never really buy a bottle because I'm never gonna use it. So that's just a generalization. I'm sure I could think of more specific ones that I don't like. But I think for now, that would be a good length of video. Excuse me. So let me know in the comment section down below, what are some inks that you really dislike? So that we can all have a good conversation and a laugh. Because I mean, we all have different tastes. I'm sure some people think that Roran Klingner's Alt Gone Green or whatever it's called is amazing. And I just like it very much. So let me know in the comment section down below. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you really like the video but haven't done so already, do hit the subscribe button. New videos every Monday and Friday, and I swear I will occasionally put out a Q&A on Tuesday. But if you're still watching at this point in the video, I thank you very much. You are the reason I make these videos. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye.